vote, your voice. From the state capital of West Virginia, welcome to your local election headquarters, 13 News. Now, here's Jennifer Abney.
Good evening and thanks so much for joining us on this Election Day edition of 13 News. I'm Jennifer Abney. Tonight, eyes across the nation are on the tri-state with elections that have local, state and national implications. And one of those races, of course, is the West Virginia U.S. Senate race between incumbent Democrat Joe Manchin and Republican Patrick Morrisey. 13 News chief political reporter Mark Curtis is following this race live. He is stationed tonight at the Manchin camp. Also, with big national implications, the race for West Virginia District 3 between Richard Ojeda and Carol Miller. 13 News' Adrian Robbins is standing by live there. At Republican candidate Carol Miller's home in Huntington, we'll be checking back in with Adrian in just a few moments. Miller's opponent for the District 3 seat, Democrat Richard Ojeda. My co-anchor Patrick Simon is in Logan tonight with the latest from the Ojeda camp. He'll have the latest on the race that certainly has the national spotlight shining brightly on the Mountain State. We want to turn to the capital city for the race for Charleston's mayor. It has been passionate, to put it lightly, because for the first time in 16 years, the city will have a new leader. 13 News reporter Lily Bradley will join us live following that race. And also that certainly has the latest on who will be the mayor of Charleston. We're talking about either Republican J.B. Akers or Democrat Amy Goodwin. This midterm is shaping up to be nothing short of historic. It's widely being viewed as the proving ground for President Trump's political agenda. Make America Great Again? Is it a movement or is it just a moment? The results of today's midterms will be forecasting the 2020 presidential election. Today across the tri-state, tens of thousands took to their polling place to voice their opinion with their vote on who should represent them locally, at state level and nationally. Polls are set to close in the Mountain State now in less than half an hour. And the Buckeye State polls also closing there at 7:30 this evening. Heading south to the Bluegrass State, polls are already closed in Kentucky. So let's take a look at some of the key races that we'll be focusing on this evening. Starting in West Virginia, where national eyes are watching the outcome on incumbent Democratic Senator Joe Manchin's bid to maintain his place in Washington against his tough challenger, Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. Also attracting national attention, West Virginia District 3, where Republican Carol Miller and Democrat veteran Richard Ojeda both look to fill an empty seat, a seat both sides of the aisle believe they can win. Heading to District 2, Democrat Tally Sargent looks to unseat incumbent Republican Alex Mooney. It's a race many political pundits expect to be closer than polls even suggest. And in the Mountain State's capital city, Republican J.B. Akers and Democrat Amy Goodwin are both vying to become the next mayor of Charleston. No right to abortion. Tonight, voters in West Virginia will decide whether they should amend the state constitution to include the language, quote, nothing in this constitution secures or protects a right to abortion or requires the funding of abortion. Turning to the Buckeye State now, where there are a slew of key races in this traditional battle state ground, including who will be the next governor of Ohio. Will it be Democrat Richard Cordray or Republican Mike DeWine? The pollsters have this race as a toss-up, but it is closely being watched because since 1964, Ohio has been a perfect bellwether in predicting the outcome of presidential elections. Turning to the Senate, Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown has a small lead in the polls heading into Election Day over GOP Congressman James Renacci, but the race is still expected to be competitive. In Ohio, Congressional District 6, which represents southeastern Ohio, incumbent Republican Bill Johnson is now trying to maintain his seat against Democratic challenger Shawna Roberts. And in Ohio Congressional District 15, which represent parts of Columbus and Athens, incumbent Republican Steve Stivers looks to hold off Rick Neal from the left. Perhaps the most polarizing thing on the Ohio ballot is Issue 1, which would actually change the state's constitution to reduce drug penalties and send fewer people to prison, including drugs like fentanyl, heroin, and meth. This amendment has inspired exaggerated claims from both sides of the aisle, and it's actually been a point of contention in the governor's race as well. Turning now to the Bluegrass State, there are many races this midterm election at local and state level that we'll be focusing on for you this evening. Marsy's Law, which advocates say would ensure that victims have the rights as people accuse them of crimes. But however, critics argue it's simply too broad and it's going to overburden an already saturated criminal justice system. For up-to-the-minute results on your local races, levies, and amendments, just head over to our website all throughout the evening. Go to WOWKTV.com. All eyes locally and nationally are on this race. We're talking about the West Virginia U.S. Senate race. 13 News chief political reporter Mark Curtis joins us live now at Senator Manchin's watch party, where I assume things are starting to get moving in an excited direction there, Mark.
Hey, Jennifer, if you want people to show up for a political or election watch rally, provide food. They just swung the doors open here at Embassy Suites. People are coming in for the buffet and getting their drinks, and they're getting ready to watch the Jumbotron TVs in here and watch election results, not only statewide but nationally. Look, who'd have thought West Virginia, one of the most sparsely populated states in the nation, we only have 5 members of Congress, but 2 of our races for the congressional seats in Congress are among the biggest in the nation. We'll talk later about the 3rd District congressional race with Adrian and Patrick, but let me zero in on the U.S. Senate race. That is the marquee race here in West Virginia, where longtime incumbent Joe Manchin, the Democrat, I paused there for a second because I almost wanted to call him governor. He's been senator for the last 8 years. He's been in the governor's mansion for 6 years prior to that, and before that he was Secretary of State and a longtime state senator, up against Patrick Morrisey, the upstart Republican Attorney General from the Eastern Panhandle, who is twice won statewide in West Virginia. So this is likely to be a close race tonight. We'll be looking for the comments of Joe Manchin and Patrick Morrisey as this plays out. And it is certainly the most fascinating race in the country in terms of which party will control the U.S. Senate after the November election. We'll be back later on. Right now, Mark Curtis reporting live at the Manchin Campaign Election Watch Party in downtown Charleston. 13 News working for you.
President Trump overwhelmingly winning the Mountain State back in 2016. So since then, the commander-in-chief has been back in West Virginia on at least 7 occasions, making it easily one of his most visited states. One of the main reasons President Trump continues to come back to campaign for GOP candidates. West Virginia is seen as that battleground state on a national front, with both U.S. congressional and Senate seats up in the air. One person who has benefited certainly from the president's visit is the man looking to unseat Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. That man, of course, is Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. Morrisey beat out 5 other candidates for the nomination. Aaliyah Williamson is at his watch party in Martinsburg.
Thanks, Jennifer. The historic McFarland House in Martinsburg is normally a site for a lot of special events and fun activities, and tonight it's the backdrop of where senatorial candidate Patrick Morrisey will be holding his election watch party. He's expected to be here in just a few more hours, but the Attorney General, a Republican and endorsed by Trump, has a lot of policies that match up very closely with Trump, including the same views on immigration, same views on health care and the economy. He'll be here. I'm sure he'll be making his remarks from right behind me. Right now, a lot of people are setting up still. We have media. We have a lot of people from his campaign setting up and making sure that it looks very beautiful, very festive, patriotic for the entire night. We're going to be here. It might be a long time because they're expecting this to be a pretty close race, and it's going to be an important race for the U.S. Senate at the end of the day. So we'll be sure to bring you those details as they continue to come in. For now, in Martinsburg, Aaliyah Williamson.
President Trump has also been on the stump for Republican Carol Miller, West Virginia District 3. So to do that, of course, she must beat out Democratic veteran Richard Ojeda. My co-anchor Patrick Simon is in the field for us this evening at the Democratic West Virginia District 3 candidate Richard Ojeda's watch party. Patrick.
Jennifer, we're here at special occasions in Logan County, awaiting a lot of the supporters to come here who support Richard Ojeda in the 3rd Congressional District, and this race has been tightening all the way to today, Election Day. The gloves came off, of course, very early in this congressional district, won by nearly 50 percentage points by President Trump back in 2016. And to respond to that, Ojeda says, look, he believes in Trump. He supported Trump, but there are some times when Trump is not for West Virginia. He won't support him. When he is, he will support him. Now, he's a retired Army officer, a political newcomer. He's been on the battlefield in both Iraq and Afghanistan, but tonight will be one of the biggest political battles of his life, and he is fighting for what's considered to be a battleground district. and has gained a lot of national attention. In fact, should Ojeda find his way to victory tonight, he could help Democrats propel themselves over to that 218 district seat mark in the House of Representatives, and they would retain power. But Ojeda tells me earlier today that if former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is up for re-election, if the Democrats win, he would not vote for her.
I will not be supporting Nancy Pelosi, period. Won't do it. But, you know, the thought of me going to Washington, D.C. and being in the majority is something that means a lot to me because I've got those coal miners' pensions that I got to get taken care of.
We'll be watching this race throughout the evening here in Logan County with the Ojeda campaign, and we will give you the reaction a little bit later on throughout the evening. I'm Pat Simon at the Ojeda campaign in Logan County. 13 News working for you.
And now to find out more about Ojeda's opponent in this race, 13 News reporter Adrian Robbins is live in Huntington at West Virginia District 3 Republican candidate Carol Miller's watch party. And Adrian, how are things going out there now? What's the mood like?
Well, Jennifer, like you said, Carol Miller decided to have her watch party here at her home with some close friends and family, and they're very positive about this. Obviously, we don't know much because the polls are still open out there, but they are keeping a very positive attitude out here. You can probably see some of them behind me right now. But like Pat said, this race has garnered national attention, and for good reason. This is Trump country. West Virginia's District 3 voted for Trump back in 2016 by 49 points. That is their guy. Now, President Trump has thrown his weight behind Republican candidate Carol Miller, him and his family. And I'm joined now by Carol. And Carol, just tell me, how much does it mean to you to have the president's support?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. He loves West Virginia, and West Virginia loves our president.
How much do you think it means to have that support within your district? You know these people better than most.
Southern West Virginia is so grateful that the coal industry is back in play, and they appreciate being able to work, and the president told them that he would put them back to work, and he has.
Obviously, this is one of the seats that the Democrats hope to turn blue. Do you think that's a possibility in this district?
No.
And what would you like to do if you make it to D.C., if tonight you become a congresswoman?
I will absolutely work on more jobs, economic development, getting as much attention as we can in southern West Virginia.
Thank you so much for joining us. And now, like we said, this is a national race. People nationally are keeping their eyes on this one, and we're going to keep you updated throughout the night as more of those numbers come in. But for now, live in Huntington, I'm Adrian Robbins, 13 News, working for you.
Adrian, thanks. And for another closely watched race tonight, because for the first time in 16 years, the city of Charleston will have a new mayor after this evening. 13 News reporter Lily Bradley is following that race closely for us, and she joins us now live with more on that. Lily.
Jennifer, good evening. It's a big night here in Charleston. For the first time in nearly 16 years, since 2003, we will have a new mayor. Now, it's been a contentious debate, one centered around public health, the drug crisis, and of course, the controversial needle exchange program. It's an important race because, as I said, this will be the first mayor since 2003. The race is between Republican J.B. Akers, Democrat Amy Goodwin, and then there is a third-party candidate, Andy Backus. Each candidate with diverse ideas and different backgrounds, and ultimately different ideas on public safety. Now, the Democrat Goodwin most recently served as the Deputy Secretary of Commerce. Republican Akers is the current Charleston City Clerk, and then finally, independent candidate Backus is a teacher at West Virginia's Regional Education Service Agency here in Charleston. This is a close race, one that we will watch closely and continue to update you as those results become available. For now, in Charleston, Lily Bradley, 13 News, working for you.
Lily, thanks. For up-to-the-minute results on your local races, levies, and amendments, head over to our website, WOWKTV.com. And don't forget, we'll also be posting results at the bottom of your screen right here. You're watching 13 News, your local election.